Look, guys, this 301 card is pretty baffling, right? Jose Aldo and Jonathan Martinez. I said that's at the intro. Between this main event and these guys, the lighter weights will be on full display. Aldo returns to competition after retirement from MMA, an induction to the UFC Hall of Fame, and a short stint in boxing. Aldo is a legend, will be a huge hit in Rio de Janeiro, and he's fighting a tough cat in Martinez. What's your reaction to this big announcement, the return of Junior? Fist bump or yellow card? I also have a red card if you guys want it. Goes?
I'm leaning more towards, I guess, fist bump. It feels like home when Jose Aldo's fighting in the UFC. I like it. But the timing of it is what's, I guess, kind of strange to me. I understand like 298, 299, 300. You put so much into that the UFC needs big names. They need them to come onto these cards, and that's a huge name, especially in Brazil. Jose Aldo. There weren't very many options. They got a good name for it. So I understand that, and I think it'll be a little nostalgic. From a competitive aspect, though, that's where the questions are for me with Jose Aldo. I know he's been competing in boxing, but the timing and the training is very different. How long has he put into mixed martial arts? Getting back into that sort of timing, it's way different. And I hope he has done his homework, because the guy they gave him, no joke. Jonathan Martinez has got some good skins on his wall. He's improving with every fight. I think it could be a really tough matchup for him, especially everything Jose Aldo has to take in. For me, it just felt like when he walked away from the sport, it felt like the right time. And I think he said the right things. So to see him come back, I just hope he doesn't come back and suffer a massive loss, a bad knockout, something like that, because I don't know that it's worth it. He's done so much for mixed martial arts, his career, the Hall of Fame. I don't want it. I don't want him to become one of those fighters that kind of gets soured and we see all these losses at the end of the career. So Jose Aldo, I mean, even when he's not 100%, he's still a badass. I think it'll be a fun fight, but I can't give you a yellow card. I can't give you a red card. I'll give you kind of like a weak fist bump.
All right. Lazy Bed says in the chat room, I love this Hall of Fame induction and retirement. This return diminishes the value of those moments. Crisco Wild in the chat says, I have no problem watching a show with a flyweight title fight as a headliner. Probably going back to the last comment. Mike Bond, what did you think of this announcement, man? More of a fist bump or yellow card?
Fist bump on seeing Jose Aldo fight again, because I think he still has something left in the tank there. We've seen it a bit in boxing. He just got smothered by Merab Dvalishvili like everyone else in kind of that last fight there, which was an anticlimactic way to go out. But he was stopping those takedowns for the most part. He was doing well at that crazy elevation in Salt Lake City. So I don't know. It was kind of an unappetizing end to see him go out like that. But I give a yellow card on the matchmaking a bit here. Dominic Cruz was the front runner to do this fight. They wanted to give us that long overdue WEC throwback that we've been calling for so long. I don't know why it didn't happen, if there was something on Dominic Cruz's end, but that was the fight they were shooting for originally here. And Jonathan Martinez just obviously doesn't strike that same vein. He is a dangerous fighter. He's got 2 leg kick TKO finishes in his last 3 fights, which I tweeted out the other day. I hope Jose Aldo takes that personally and tries to throw some back and make it interesting there. I think the stylistic side of it is decent, much better than Merab, obviously. I don't think Jonathan Martinez is going to be shooting 30 takedowns in this fight or anything like that, but it's just the whole reason why this came together. It's kind of a theme of the show, talking about the UFC contracts and things like that, guys wanting to do other things. And unless I'm misinformed and something has changed very recently, Jose Aldo has 1 fight left on his UFC contract, as Joseph Boza noted there in the comments as well. And I think he wants some of that Saudi boxing money, man. And I think he wants to finish up this UFC contract, get out of there, and be really free. Like, they've gave him, obviously, the pass to do 3 boxing fights to this point. But I don't know what the setup of that is, if he's constrained and what type of boxing opportunities he can take, maybe even something in MMA. I'm sure PFL would throw a bunch of money at him to compete in a tournament or something like that. So I think maybe he just wants to know his full options, and what better way to get one last fight in Brazil, in Rio. The people there love him. It's a much more satisfying ending to his UFC run if this is indeed the end and he hasn't signed a new deal or anything. So I get all the elements there. The one thing I just wish was different was Aldo versus Dominic Cruz, because that's a fight we wanted to see for so long, and this pretty clearly was the last opportunity to make it happen.
Damn, that would have been epic for sure. All right, Matt Wells, you know the drill. We fist bumping or yellow card?
Give me a yellow card with, can you write hashtag MMA retirements on it for me too? Because that's what we're looking at. I like seeing Jose Aldo fight, right? I mean, he's one of my favorite fighters of all time. So I'm not going to complain once that cage door closes and he's actually in there. But at the end of the day, we have a matchup against Jonathan Martinez, and he's going to come in there and he's going to be very hungry to make a statement. Guy's won 6 straight. He's 8 years younger than Jose Aldo, and having a win over a guy like that on your resume would be huge for his future, title aspirations. So Aldo better watch out. I mean, it's going to be a cool moment. It's going to be a cool moment, for that Brazilian crowd. They're going to go crazy for, when that Run This Town hits the speakers. So that'll be cool. But I also agree, as the comment said in the chat earlier, you already had the Hall of Fame moments. You already had that, emotional speech, like all that stuff. It doesn't hit the same anymore when you come back and fight again after all that. So I don't know. I'm also like kind of one of those guys, like, I don't like to see guys wait too long when they're done and have to wait, like 10, 15 years to get their Hall of Fame moment. I like to, give people their flowers especially while they're still with us. But in MMA, man, guys come back all the time. Guys and girls come back all the time. So when you have those moments and then you return after that, it kind of sucks a little bit. But I think at the end of the day, in the position that we're in with this card in particular, where you're kind of panicking to throw a big name on the card, you ring up Jose Aldo and he's like, yeah, sure, I'm down. It'll also clear up a lot of other things that Mike mentioned and that Goes mentioned as well. So it's one of those things where timing and a number of cards that you're trying to do, you're trying to make it interesting to the fans, to the market that you're trying to sell to. Luckily, Aldo answered that call and he's coming back for the UFC. But it's gonna be an interesting fight when that cage door closes. Because like I said, I think J Mart's coming in to make a statement.
Hey, this is a crazy one. I don't need all three of you to chime in, but if one of you has a feeling or any info, please let me know. Amanda Nunes, she's kind of teased, hey, well, maybe I'm not done. Could she pop up on a card like this? Has anyone heard anything like that? Any of you guys?
No, I think her and Nina just had their second baby. I don't think she's coming back anytime soon. So
Okay.
I think that was just a nice little tease there. She saw Raquel Pennington win the title. She was cage side, got asked some questions. But yeah, I definitely don't think it's coming together on 7 weeks notice or whatever it is now.
No.
Okay. All right. Some comments here in the chat. Crisco Wild, I love Dominic Cruz. GOAT Bantamweight, GOAT commentator, Oatmeal26 says this fight will go down just like the RDA fight went. He might have a moment, but he'll ultimately lose 30-27. Interesting. Lazy Bed says it'll be dope to hear Run This Town hit and see Aldo make that walk one more time, get out of the contract, and chase the bag. Good stuff, guys. Great comments there. Crisco Wild, shout outs to that Saudi boxing money. Maddie Marinera says, I think Aldo gets a finish in his last fight. So some love for Jose. And then Joseph Boza, I think Jose overreacted when his 3-fight win streak was snapped against Merab. Merab is a beast. He is the UFC bantamweight champion in waiting. I thought about that too, man. He did have a 3-fight win streak, including a win over Rob Font. And so maybe he pulled the plug too soon on his career. Who knows? He's the one that's put his body through 15 years of hard training.